Stay safe. From KCRG TV 9, this is First Alert Weather Now.
Good evening and welcome to the midweek edition of First Alert Weather Now. I'm meteorologist Corey Thompson here with you. And we had our first snowflakes of the season for most of eastern Iowa today. And we had batches of light snow moving through, which we'll track where they're at right now in just a bit. We'll also take a look at some of those events in your forecast for fun. And meteorologist AJ Rickman has this week's climate close-up too. But first, what you need to know as you head outside this evening is the risk for some of those additional snow showers. They are limited at this point and becoming even more so as we go through the next little while, but it's something to keep an eye on, especially as temperatures turn a little bit colder over the next couple of hours. Now, looking ahead toward tomorrow, precipitation should likely be done, but we will have the opportunity for additional windy conditions. In fact, it looks like it may be even a little bit windier for your Thursday than today. And next week is sort of the focus looking out in the distance because of that Thanksgiving travel around the holiday, ever important days that we will be keeping a close eye on over the next several. Now, pinpoint Doppler radar this hour shows an area of mostly dry weather in most spots. Now, flurries could be falling where you don't see those more concentrated areas of white and blue representing the snow showers taking place. One of them right now is up here in the Decorah area where we have seen some light snow occurring, but not really sticking even all that well now that the sun has gone down. You see just some wet pavement down there on our Piasta city cam. Trees also blowing a bit in the breeze, which is currently out of the west between about 15 to 25 miles per hour. Air temperatures near or just above freezing in most cases. Piasta and Dubuque, ones that have slipped below it at this point, and we'll be watching those over the next few hours to continue to slide and turn a little bit cooler. Now, your planner for the rest of the evening does drop us into the below freezing category late this evening. The snow shower chance also sticks with us as we go through at least part of the night. Now, we will time out the advance of those snow showers over the next few hours coming up in just a little bit. Let's look a little bit further ahead. Meteorologist AJ Rickman has today's forecast for fun.
Well, in eastern Iowa, there's always something fun to do, and because of that, we will have your forecast for fun as we have a look at things coming up. If you're just looking to take a walk for the next couple of days, that's always a fun thing to do. It's going to be cold, so make sure that you are bundling up, staying warm. We're going to be 39 on Thursday for your high, 42 on Friday. We climb a little bit towards the mid-40s by Saturday. The other thing you'll want to pay attention to, though, is the wind. 20 to 40 plus on Thursday, 10 to 20 on Friday. Windy on Thursday, a little bit breezy, not quite as bad on Friday, but still, it's going to feel cold out there. Coming up, we do have Owls, the American Dreamer. That is the life and times of Henry A. Wallace. It is at the Osborne Conservation Center at 11 a.m. on Thursday. It's going to be windy and cold for that as well, temperature of 36. We also have Pink Friday coming up in Charles City. Those temperatures will be rising to near 40 by the afternoon, falling into the mid-30s by the time we get to 6 p.m. Plenty of cloud cover sticking around as we go through your day. They'll have a walk-in shops first, Friday, November 22nd. Shops will be decorated, delicious sips, sweets, and treats. We also have the Vintage Estate Flea Market coming up this weekend, Friday and Saturday. Again, more clouds than sun. We'll have those temperatures climbing into the 40s, so make sure you just grab that jacket as you go about. We're also watching for college football this weekend. We'll have the Hawkeyes kicking off at 11 a.m. Iowa State kicks off at 6:30, and then the UNI Panthers kick off at 1 p.m. It's going to be cold out there for the UNI game, a little bit milder for the Hawkeye and Cyclones game. That is what we have coming up this week for your forecast for fun.
Now, your First Alert forecast with meteorologist Corey Thompson.
Still keeping an eye on that potential for a little bit of snow shower activity as we head through the night. That's why it's highlighted here in yellow on your first alert. Just a few more hours and maybe just past midnight in a couple of cases, but likely even of lesser impact by then as they become even more widely scattered. Now, winds have been pretty stiff today and they get even stronger by tomorrow afternoon. Gusts likely over 30 miles per hour for a period of time, maybe reaching 40 or even above at times during that afternoon period on Thursday. Now, here's pinpoint Doppler radar at this point. A little patch of snow shower activity up toward central Iowa near the Iowa Falls area. This is sliding to the southeast. A couple other small patches stretching here in northeast Iowa too. We do have a little bit of light snow falling up toward Decorah. That batch of light snow that moved through earlier has shifted to the south generally, but we'll pinpoint just a little bit closer. Fayette, you saw it there on your screen, seeing maybe just a few flurries. Prairie du Chien about to get this little patch of lighter snow. Now, while it's falling, visibility has been reduced today, but it has largely not been sticking that much. Few areas have seen some snow stick to elevated surfaces or maybe grassy areas where things are colder, but the most of us have been lucky and road conditions have stayed very, very good. Off to the south, most areas seeing flurries at worst at this point. The more concentrated areas of snow have left. But our Decorah City Cam demonstrates what we could be facing at times over the next several hours. Winds continuing and snowflakes flying. Not much on the ground, though. You'll notice maybe a little bit on the edge of the grass here near the pavement, but notice that the pavement is clear. Temperatures in the low 30s, Decorah right around 28, so that's going to aid in those snowflakes potentially sticking just a little bit more. Today, our temperatures have been above freezing during the day. Sunlight, even though it has been obscured mostly by clouds, contributed to melting, as well as warm road temperatures. Those have been above freezing, but now that we're after dark, we may actually see those drop a little bit too. Your first alert forecast calls for temperatures falling to the mid to upper 20s overnight. Overnight lows will be actually still just a little bit above normal. Our normal low is 25, 27 in Cedar Rapids. That slight chance of snow showers continues. The next several hours on Pinpoint Futurecast features that very scattered activity, more favored in our northern zones. Farther south you go, I think it's going to become less and less. And as we go later into night, it becomes less and less too. So by the time we start off Thursday, we may see a few flurries embedded within this overall broad area of cloud cover, but I think most of us will be staying dry most of the day too. Northwest winds you see here pretty strong, but gray skies continue. It's here in Wisconsin and Illinois where snow will be falling, likely causing some travel trouble that way. This precipitation is going to try to rotate back into the west. This may clip areas right along the Mississippi River, Dubuque, Clinton. Those types of areas may see a little bit, but I think we're just going to miss out just by a hair. Just that close. As we head toward tomorrow night, clouds stick with us, but we may actually see a little bit of clearing on Friday for at least a period of time. Temperatures tomorrow in the upper 30s to around 40. This is actually a little below normal for this time of year with 40 in Washington, 36 in Fayette. We'll call it cloudy, we'll call it windy as those gusts reach into the 30 to 40 mile per hour range at the very least. These stronger winds that we have during the day with those colder temperatures make for wind chills that will only be in the mid 20s. At best by tomorrow afternoon. Morning hours probably starting off in the teens. So if you're expecting a warmer start to the day, keep hoping. Now we'll take a look at Thanksgiving week next week. We've got an area of low pressure that's going to be nearby to start the week, but likely Sunday dry. So if you have a long holiday week, things will be good for travel around Iowa. Monday, potential for a little bit of light rain or snow, but that does look like it will be very, very light. It's more toward the middle of the week, Wednesday, when we have that opportunity for a little bit of snow to potentially move into the state. This could cause a little bit of disruption. Right now, it looks like the heavier precipitation stays to our south, but it's something we're going to keep a close eye on. Something that we will be providing additional updates to. Your first alert to maybe that slight chance for disruption here in the state of Iowa. But overall, just looking colder. We'll get close to 50 on Sunday. Next week, we'll be down into the 30s for highs and actually sliding as we head toward Black Friday. Looks like it's going to be, well, fairly chilly by then. Now, we're not the only ones dealing with winter weather at this point. A strong winter storm, that was a bomb cyclone, which is a rapidly strengthening storm, slammed the northwestern U.S. overnight, killing at least 2 people. Here's a look at the damage up in that area where you can see strong winds knock over trees on top of homes, which of course is something we know very well. Power outages was very widespread in that area too. This is where the storm is right now. If we change over to max, there's the area of low pressure. It looks like a tropical system here in terms of that tight spiral. It's a very intense area of low pressure. We've got rain and even a few storms, a tornado warning on the coast of Washington as storms have come off the Pacific coast, rain and even snow at higher elevations as plenty of moisture is around. Now, CNN's Laura Aguirre reports that the threat for additional severe winter weather not over yet.
This is crazy. There's trees up everywhere. There's houses destroyed.
Driving snow and a slew of downed trees mark a bomb cyclone's powerful impact across parts of the Pacific Northwest overnight.
I was not expecting this snowstorm at all.
But in it came with hurricane-force winds gusting over 70 miles per hour that toppled countless trees, in many cases taking power lines with them, knocking hundreds of thousands of people off the grid. Puget Sound Energy, which services the Seattle area, says the mass outage could last multiple days. This North Seattle resident, one of the lucky ones.
I could hear it creaking, and I wasn't sure if it was falling or just like moving in the wind, and then I heard it breaking through some branches.
Many of his neighbors spent the day assessing damaged homes and vehicles. The intense winter storm also being blamed for some fatalities. One of them, a Bellevue, Washington woman who fire officials say was killed in her shower when a tree crushed her home. In the mountainous passes between Portland and Central Oregon, tire chains are a must.
Getting pretty delirious now. We're on minute 37 of getting these chains on.
The wicked weather isn't over. Forecasters say the bomb cyclone essentially tapped an atmospheric river, which is expected to dump torrential rain over the region through tomorrow, with forecasters predicting Northern California could reach a rare level 4 of 4 flood risk over the next 24 hours. I'm Laura Aguirre reporting.
Now, that's a lot to deal with up there in the Pacific Northwest. Hopefully things continue to at least relent a little bit in the coming days. Now, here we also are keeping track of conditions around Iowa. Meteorologist A.J. Rickman, joined by Iowa State climatologist Justin Glisson, looking at this week's climate close-up.
Well, for this week's Climate Close-Up, we're going to check in again with our state climatologist, Justin Glisson, who is right here over my shoulder. Justin, how are you doing today?
Hey, doing well, AJ. How are you?
I'm doing pretty well. Been enjoying the nice change in the weather pattern, made some progress on the drought as well, and looking forward to what will hopefully be a couple of more rainstorms coming up in the future. But over the last couple of weeks, we have seen, like I mentioned, a couple of rounds of rain, and that has made a considerable dent in the drought across eastern Iowa. However, despite already getting more rain in most places than we typically see for the entire month of November, we are still seeing moderate drought across much of the area. So when we did get that first couple rounds of rain and we had that initial change in the drought, did you find that change in the drought surprising that we still have some left, or was this kind of the improvement that you would expect given the amount of rain that we've had?
Yeah, that's a great set of questions. So it was the expectation that I had that we would see improvement in drought conditions across the state. We were status quo on the map this week, so no change. The rain fell after the cutoff on Tuesday, so we'll see improvement next week as well, given this more active pattern that we've been in. But if you look at that moderate drought category D1, that's more reflective of 3 to 4 month drought or precipitation deficits. So while we're above normal for Cedar Rapids in November, almost double like you said, and 3 inches plus for the year, we have seen longer term precipitation deficits out 3, 4, even 5 months, particularly with the driest September on record and then a pretty dry October as well. But if we keep on seeing this active pattern, we should see those drought conditions start to be chipped away across the state.
That is certainly going to be, hopefully we'll continue to see that change, and it'll be great to see if we can get that drought whittled away to nothing by the time we get to winter. But once we do get into winter, of course, we'll see the ground freeze up. So once that freeze does come and the ground is now frozen and doesn't really absorb water as efficiently, will it become more difficult to make progress on the drought with that frozen ground? And historically, have we seen with our droughts in the past during the winter that we see much change in them, whether they're worsening or improving?
So you look at 2020 through 2023, 4 years of drought in wintertime as well. Winter's a slower season given it's the driest season, but as you mentioned, the ground is almost always frozen, so you're not getting infiltration of any precipitation that you're getting on the surface. Most of it will run off if it is liquid. We'll see rebounds in stream flow, but when we're talking about drought, we have to think about all the complex parts of the system: meteorological deficits, lower stream flows, depleted soil moisture, and aquifers. So when we look at all of those together, that's when we're pointing in one direction or another. Wintertime, we can see improvement. We can see degradation as well, but it's much slower than the growing season when water is being used up by the atmosphere and by vegetation.
Okay, well, as we get into winter, then I guess we'll hope for a delayed thawing of the ground and some more rain in the meantime to help continue to get some more water in the ground and chip away at that drought before ultimately things do freeze up later on this season. But Justin, that is all the time we have this week, so thank you again for talking to us and for checking in on things drought related, and we'll look forward to speaking to you again in a couple of weeks.
Always a pleasure, AJ.
And thank you, guys. And over the next couple of days, we certainly have weather that feels a bit more like you might expect this time of year. Our normal high is 42, and we'll be kind of right around that. Tomorrow, a little bit colder. Friday and Saturday, getting a little bit closer there. Now, the big story over the next few days will be the stronger winds, although they do ease a bit as we head into the weekend. Friday, starting off still a little bit blustery, but then getting better, especially towards Saturday. Then bouncing back Sunday into Monday as our weather pattern stays relatively active. Pretty typical for this portion of the season to see those winds begin to increase more and more often. Now next week, we're going to see a bit of a roller coaster in temperatures, not a severe one, but you can see that rise in temperatures by about 11 to 12 degrees by the weekend. Sunday represents the peak in our temperature trend over the next several days, and it gets above normal by about 10 degrees or so. Then we trend back downward next week. With colder air, that means you start to wonder about wintry precipitation. We've got those two chances on there, Monday and Wednesday, both at this point slight and light. But again, the emphasis as we get closer to that holiday week. Keep an eye on things just in case they change. We will of course, provide you with the latest as we know it, as we always do. That's our commitment to you here in the First Alert Weather Lab. Thanks for joining us here on First Alert Weather Now tonight. We'll be back here tomorrow night, same time, to bring you the latest. Have a great night.